Welcome back to Close Up. The legislative session is over. A summer of preparation and speculation regarding 2018 awaits. For Insider Perspective, we've convened our reporter roundtable this weekend. Our own John DeStaso is here. Allie Morris from the Concord Monitor joins us, and Dan Tuohy from the Union Leader. Thanks for being here, guys.
Sure.
Good to see you.
Let's start out with Republicans threading the needle on the state budget. This was a big win for Governor Sununu in particular. He started that day not knowing what he had. They probably had a good sense of the vote count, but he was looking at potentially losing kindergarten and the budget on the same day, and yet he comes out roses. Allie, how did that go?
Yeah, definitely. For months, we had a lot of uncertainty about both of these bills. You know, the House Freedom Caucus came through really going hard against the budget. They said it spent way too much money. And some of them were actually saying that right up until the vote happened. But, you know, the budget cruised through the House with a huge margin, a big win for Governor Sununu and the Republicans. And they really said this shows that they can govern after months of, you know, Republicans kind of fighting over right to work and other bills.
John, do we know how they brought the Freedom Caucus around? Because it seemed like a week before, those people were saying, this is it, the budget is dead.
Well, I think the Freedom Caucus wanted to be relevant. I think they got a few points in there with the tax cuts and just the lower spending on the Senate, from the Senate version versus the House version. You notice that they credited heavily the Senate president and the governor, but did not. They continued the feud in the House with their own speaker. But how they came over was, I think that they saw that this was going to be the best they could get. They did not. They were a little bit of realism set in, and they wanted to kind of claim victory, and they did have some legitimate victories. And now I think that they are, you know, again, are going to remain relevant. We'll see what happens in the non-budget year, what issues that they focus on next year.
Right. And certainly, Dan, the governor comes out of this pretty well positioned heading towards 2018.
He did. As we saw last week, he was buoyant, he was uplifted. He climbed into the Senate gallery to talk to the senators and staff, and which is kind of rare. Governors, of course, come into chambers to address both bodies. But it was a different focus, and we saw him like bounding through the hallways, hugging people. His first budget, I think he was relieved, as the legislature was, to finish their session on a high note and move on.
He put a lot of effort into it in terms of talking to people, from what I understand, and certainly he had a lot on the line here. And it came out just 2 days before. You know, we were all being spun, at least I was, that this was going to be real nip and tuck, and it turned out to be more than 20 votes. I believe.
Yeah, they almost 30 is what they got to.
Yeah, almost 30 vote margin. Because, as we mentioned earlier, the Freedom Caucus came on board, other than just a few.
Well, and I think, too, just to add on to the Freedom Caucus, I think a lot of them were fearful that if this fell, you know, Republicans would then go to Democrats to work out a deal, and the spending would skyrocket. And so I talked to some Freedom Caucus members who said that was a real concern.
Looking ahead also to 2018, the governor appears pretty well positioned. What are the Democratic names we're hearing right now, Allie, coming out of the State House who might join this race? Yeah,
so Steve Marchand is the first to really throw his hat into the ring here. There's been some chatter about Executive Counselor Andrew Volinsky, who's in his first term. He's from Concord. He was obviously an attorney in the Claremont case that's now getting a lot of attention, that school funding is back into the focus here. But, you know, it's a real uphill slog for someone. You know, Governor Sununu, you know, finish this session on a high note, as we mentioned, and it will be tough for any Democrat to come in and really show voters why they should oust Sununu here.
And Dan, and yet we see Democrats totally energized. Do you think we might see someone come totally out of the blue for the Democrats and perhaps capitalize on sort of this anti-Trump fervor?
I think so. I mean, the state often mirrors, like many states, the federal level. It's the summer of the resistance for Democrats in New Hampshire. They are in the minority, except, of course, for the congressional delegation. You'll see Republicans ramping up to challenge Congresswoman Shea Porter and Custer, and it's going to be interesting to see what they do to try to challenge Chris Sununu. First governor we've had in 14 years. That's a big deal for the GOP, and they're trying to make the most of it as well.
And John, are there any names coming from outside government, people who are considering this, who might be able to make a run from the business side of things?
I have not heard any, to be honest with you, at this point. I think really right now it's Marchand, who, as Allie mentioned, he's the only announced candidate. There's been some talk about Volinsky. It is only the summer of 2017. I think when we get past Labor Day, we'll see some more. Maybe you guys have heard of some business Democrats coming out. I mean, I know that a lot of people are waiting. I don't think it was going to be this time. Are waiting and hoping for Stephanie Shaheen to run. Right. She's in business, but she's kind of the name that they're waiting for.
Stephanie Shaheen's name comes up again, time and again. I heard from a prominent Democrat saying, "What about Gary Hirshberg?"
Yeah, his name has come up. You're right.
I know he's a very well known. He could probably raise some serious money for a challenge if he does decide to run for governor.
But again, as Ali said, it's tough. You know, I mean, Craig Benson had a very way back had a very rough one term, and John Lynch was just sort of a affable sort of person. Chris Sununu has that affability and that popularity, and he has some victories. And I just think it is an uphill climb. We'll have to see. Again, it's early. Will there be a Trump effect? Midterm election, will that trickle into the governor's race? A lot remains to be seen, obviously.
One of the big dynamics right now, obviously, is the healthcare debate in Washington. And Governor Sununu came out last week and said, essentially, he's going to oppose this bill. We asked him again, even after they began to, the White House saying they were going to try to convince more moderate senators and potentially even governors with more opioid money. Here's what he had to say in response to whether or not he could support the bill with more funding for opioid addiction treatment.
At the end of the day, the bill as it stands now, at best, would cost the state $1.5 billion over the next 10 years. That's just not practical. Until you're willing to address the fundamental issues with the funding as a whole, there's not a whole lot that the state could even do. Even 10 or 20 million, we're not talking 10 or 20 million dollars here. And if you look at the CPI, kind of the inflationary index, if you will, if that were just to budge to another % or 2 higher, you're looking at another billion or 2 on top of that. So even in a best case scenario, the state is in a real difficult position, to say the least.
So, Ali, what do you think here? Is the governor, he took a long time to get to this point, but he's here essentially now, and how does that position him, I guess, heading into the next year?
Yeah, obviously Medicaid is a huge issue at the State House. The state's own expanded Medicaid program is set to expire at the end of next year if lawmakers don't do something about it. During the campaign, Governor Sununu said he indicates he likes the program, but he wants it to take a New Hampshire approach, and so it sort of remains to be seen how he's going to approach this issue in our own state going forward. But yeah, he has come out against this federal bill, and that could take an interesting tack going into that debate over whether or not to continue expanded Medicaid here in the state.
John, this is a tough one. The Republicans have been saying repeal and replace forever, and now it's kind of just petering out.
Well, we'll have to. Well, in Washington, it obviously is having a real tough go, and who knows if they're ever really going to get a bill. As for Chris Sununu, he has, in his letter, it was interesting that he never talked about repealing and replacing. In his letter that rolled out his reasons for opposing the Senate health care bill, the Republican health care bill, he just talks about reforming, and he uses the word Obamacare. We need to be reforming Obamacare. Democrats say that's a reversal. However, I'm reminded by some of the conservatives that Sununu did not sign the Americans for Prosperity pledge last year. Him and Mayor Gatsis, who was running at the time, did not sign it, specifically in Sununu's case because it called for opposition to Obamacare. So he could, there's been some consistency on his part. It's kind of the Charlie Baker route,
Right. Yeah, and Dan, the Republican governors are in the toughest position here because they have to implement so much of this, and you see many of them now coming out against it.
Absolutely. Charlie Baker in Mass, as John mentioned, Chris Sununu knows very well that Medicaid expansion in New Hampshire was a bipartisan adoption a couple years back, and it's had a significant play in combating opiate abuse here in New Hampshire. And the governor mentioned that in his letter. His very interesting letter. He expounded about what Medicaid expansion has meant in terms of fighting drug abuse and Obamacare as well. There's 50, or I forget the numbers, but it's a significant number of people enrolled. What's the transition to a repeal and replacement? Or on Friday, of course, the president himself said, well, if we can't get a repeal and replacement, let's repeal it first and then replace it. So there's a lot to be said about what's going to happen this summer in terms of what the Senate GOP plan is next.
Right. Okay, we'll be right back with this illustrious group. There are some farewells to say, of course, and we'll discuss the increasingly lonely Don Tibbetts room and a thinning State House press corps.